Rock stars spend years building an image, and sometimes the most revealing moments happen not on stage, but in a chair across from a journalist. The cameras were rolling, the microphones were live, and these artists completely lost it.
The one and only Ozzy Osbourne. Good evening, Ozzy.
What?
These are 12 of the most unhinged interview meltdowns in hard rock and metal history. Number 12, Axl Rose.
When a white person uses the word nigger, it's meant that the whole black race, and you're derogatory and you're a racist.
The track One in a Million appeared on the 1988 album GNR Lies, reportedly inspired by Rose's experience getting hustled at a Greyhound bus station when he first arrived in Los Angeles. In January 1989, he sat down with Rolling Stone to explain the lyrics, and the interview, published that August, stunned the rock world. He defended his use of racial slurs by questioning why a white man couldn't use the same language without consequences, framing bigotry as a double standard rather than a moral failing.
I don't think people took the time to listen to the third verse and figure that one out, because it says radicals and racists don't point your finger at me.
The controversy that followed was immediate and severe. Guns N' Roses was dropped from the roster of an AIDS benefit show in New York, organized by the gay men's health crisis. Rose never offered a strong condemnation of the song, instead suggesting that fans had misconstrued its message. The Rolling Stone interview became one of the most talked about press moments of the entire decade.
Exactly what happened. We had the Ku Klux Klan saying we're promoting shows and backing the Ku Klux Klan, and they immediately got a letter from my lawyer.
Number 11, Kiss.
But you're at a Kiss concert. It's a Kiss interview. Doesn't show respect. You're in our house.
I don't want to be respected.
Back in 2012, during a tour stop in Mexico, a local journalist named Gustavo arrived to interview the band wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. Gene Simmons objected off camera, while Paul Stanley took point on the public confrontation. Stanley leaned over, pointed directly at the Iron Maiden logo on the journalist's shirt, and said, "Kiss is spelled K-I-S-S. This does not spell kiss, Gustavo. You made a big mistake."
What? Kiss is K-I-S-S. This does not spell kiss, Gustavo.
The interview turned deeply uncomfortable as Gustavo attempted to explain that he had deliberately avoided wearing a Kiss shirt to avoid appearing like a fanboy. The band wasn't buying it. The journalist was ultimately pressured into removing the shirt and turning it inside out before the interview could proceed. The clip went viral years later and has since been called one of the most cringeworthy moments in rock interview history.
Honestly, I picked this t-shirt specially to do the interview with you guys. I mean, it's not cool to wear a Kiss t-shirt.
Number 10, Ted Nugent.
I'm an extremely loving, passionate man, and people who investigate me honestly without the baggage of political correctness.
The interview was taped at Nugent's ranch near Waco, Texas, and broadcast on CBS This Morning in May 2012. It all happened in the middle of an otherwise calm conversation focusing on the fallout from Nugent's recent anti-Obama statements, which had already involved a very friendly meeting with the Secret Service. When CBS correspondent Jeff Glor observed that Nugent was many things but not moderate, Nugent's temper rose and he began to yell at the reporter.
Or how's that sound?
CBS later noted the outburst had stunned the production team. Nugent's wife had him apologize to Glor and the off-camera producer for his curse-filled tirade. He also called Glor the next day and said that after the interview he was rushed to the emergency room and had a kidney stone removed, which Nugent said may have contributed to his high level of energy.
Attain the conclusion that I'm a damn nice guy, and if you can find a screening process more powerful than that.
Number 9, Ozzy Osbourne.
We're talking with the one and only Ozzy Osbourne. Good evening, Ozzy.
What?
During a 1982 interview with Night Flight, Ozzy Osbourne sat down with short, preppy hair and a calm demeanor that immediately caught viewers off guard. Within minutes, he began reflecting on his split personality as John Osbourne and Ozzy Osbourne, explaining that these were two different people and that he didn't walk around as the wild Ozzy persona 24 hours a day.
Ozzy Osbourne and John Osbourne is two different people. John Osbourne is talking to you now. But if you want to be Ozzy Osbourne...
The show aired on underground cable between 11 at night and 7 in the morning, making it appointment viewing for a generation of insomniacs and metal fans. The bizarre and disarming interview revealed a man trying to manage a monster he had helped create. He credited the public with building his Prince of Darkness reputation through years of exaggeration. At just 33 years old, he was already carrying the weight of a legend he could never fully escape.
24 hours a day is kind of heavy, you know. It's like people expect you to like bite the heads off things every day they see you.
Which of these interview moments caught you the most off guard? Did you watch any of these unfold live back in the day? Drop a comment below and let us know where in the world you're watching from. Number 8, Dave Mustaine.
I tell you without talking to Lars, the guy in Metallica. Never talked to my little Danish friend again.
The end came on April 11th, 1983. Metallica had already quietly hired Kirk Hammett as their new lead guitarist, and at around 9 in the morning, Hetfield, Ulrich, and Burton woke Mustaine from a heavy sleep and told him he was out of the band. There was no warning and no second chance. Mustaine later described it as a gut punch, saying his bandmates never gave me a warning and I never got a second chance. It was just, hey man, you're out. See you later. The firing launched one of the longest-running grudge matches in rock history.
I walk down the street and I hear some piece of shit say, Metallica at me, and they do that to taunt me.
Mustaine told Loudwire that he was a violent drunk, and that while the others liked to drink and get silly, he would drink and have fun until someone refuted something he had said. And then, things got ugly. Despite founding Megadeth, selling over 50 million records worldwide, and winning a Grammy Award for Best Metal Performance in 2017 for the title track of Dystopia, Mustaine never fully let go of the day he lost his seat in Metallica.
James kicked the dog, so I punched him in the face, and that was the end of it, you know? And the bass player said, you know, it was a big argument.
Number 7, Courtney Love. On Wednesday, March 17, 2004, Courtney Love appeared on CBS's Late Show with David Letterman to promote her album America's Sweetheart, and courted trouble with the Federal Communication Commission by repeatedly baring her breasts during the taping. Love later lit up a cigarette, defying New York City's strict anti-smoking laws, and asked Letterman, "Are you going to cut this because I'm smoking?" Letterman replied, "That won't be the reason we cut anything."
Are you going to cut this because I'm smoking?
No.
Because it's such a good story.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out.
No, that won't be the reason we cut anything.
Letterman looked profoundly uncomfortable with Love's scatterbrained performance, but he did get the last word. Years later, when asked what her lowest point had been, Love returned to The Late Show and told Letterman succinctly, "Your desk." She explained that Drew Barrymore had done it when she was 19, and I was so out of my mind when I did it, I thought I was 19. But I was actually 39. Number 6, Liam Gallagher.
I was in the thick of it, man. I don't remember any of that. Well, of course you remember. Fucking partying and getting off the place.
Over 100 million records sold worldwide, 7 consecutive #1 studio albums in the United Kingdom. At their peak in the mid-1990s, Oasis were the biggest band on the planet, and Liam Gallagher made sure every journalist in the world knew exactly how he felt about everyone else. He called his brother Noel everything from a potato to a miserable old man, feuded publicly with members of U2, mocked Damon Albarn of Blur relentlessly, and conducted interviews with the energy of someone actively trying to get themselves banned from television.
On a baking program. But then I ended up supporting.
Even hardened music journalists admitted that Liam filled them with a particular kind of dread before every interview. Sharp of tongue, mentally agile, and fiery of temperament, he simply refused to be diplomatic in any room, at any time, with any reporter. His career-long press tour of insults became as famous as the music itself.
Well, after the year we've had, it's like it's time to reflect in it and sort of go, you know, I never really had any problem with anyone anyway, really, you know what I mean?
Number 5, Nikki Sixx.
I'm not here to tell people not to drink, and certain drugs are necessary, but, you know...
Motley Crue released its debut album, Too Fast for Love, in 1981 on its own independent. A label and Elektra Records signed the band shortly thereafter, reissuing the debut in 1982. The band then began a string of hit releases throughout the decade, establishing the quartet as one of the biggest hard rock and metal bands of the 1980s. Nikki Sixx survived a heroin overdose and was declared clinically dead on December 23, 1987, and later wrote about the entire era with brutal honesty in his memoir, The Heroin Diaries.
Street drugs, that kind of stuff. I mean, even pharmaceutical, you know, we have a problem with pharmaceutical drugs in our country. And
that transformation made his public response to Gene Simmons all the more powerful. In 2014, Simmons made inflammatory remarks about depression and suicide in an interview, telling sufferers to get out of his way. On his radio show 6 Sense, Nikki Sixx called Simmons moronic and warned about the real damage such statements could cause to someone in crisis. The man who had once been declared dead was now the one calling out someone else for recklessness in public.
Talking about that and how kids are rating their parents, cabinet and getting the leftover.
Before we reach the top 4, here is a question for the rock fans watching. Which band's interview moments shocked you the most back in the day? Leave a comment below. We read every one of them. Number 4, Gene Simmons.
He told me it'll be no problem.
Maiden interview and we wear Kiss t-shirts. Is that okay?
That'd be cool.
50 years of concerts, over 100 million records sold worldwide. Gene Simmons built Kiss into one of the most commercially successful rock operations in history. He also built a reputation as one of the most combative figures in press history, dismissing other artists, other genres, and other opinions with a particular brand of arrogance that left interviewers speechless. In one notorious instance, a Mexican journalist arrived wearing an Iron Maiden shirt and was not allowed to proceed until he had removed it.
I'll just put the t-shirt on backwards. You don't have to take it off.
I'll do that.
We'll help you.
In 2014, Simmons gave an interview in which he made inflammatory remarks about people suffering from depression and suicidal thoughts, suggesting they should simply remove themselves from his presence. Nikki Sixx publicly condemned the remarks on his radio show, calling Simmons moronic and warning about the harm such statements could cause. For a man who spent decades building Kiss on spectacle and fan loyalty, it was a deeply alienating moment.
Grab one?
Yeah,
I'll wear it.
Or you can put it on backwards. Let's see the back.
That's what I did.
Yeah, you can put it on backwards.
He's gonna get a
Number 3, Courtney Love.
All he can remember is the big cortisone drug face.
Right. But how do you conduct your life? I mean,
One of the most surreal moments in television history occurred at the 1995 MTV Video Music Awards during a live interview between Madonna and MTV news anchor Kurt Loder. Struggling in the aftermath of Kurt Cobain's death in April 1994, Love approached the interview area from below and began disrupting the broadcast, tossing objects toward the platform and inserting herself into the segment without warning.
You go in jail, what happens?
It was really scary, yeah.
What did they do? It must
The
be
stunt
scary.
knocked Madonna completely off her rhythm. Loder looked visibly horrified. Love hijacked the segment entirely, forcing Madonna to disengage while Love planted herself at the center of the interview. Madonna, never one to be upstaged, called Love out live on air with sharp, dry precision. The exchange became a defining artifact of 1990s celebrity culture, and it has been replayed and analyzed in retrospectives ever since.
You know what I do? You know, it's a choice. You know, you can come around with the big entourage and pull that crap, or you can like...
Number 2, Dave Mustaine.
Of course, it's special. It's historical. It's life-changing for a lot of people that were there.
On the 4-day bus ride from New York back to California following his firing from Metallica in April 1983, Mustaine was furious and had no intention of staying quiet. He later told Loudwire, "When you're around a lot of people that like to drink and get silly, they just want to have fun. I would drink and have fun until someone would refute something I had said." The chip on his shoulder was enormous, and he was already thinking about his next move.
It's been hard to watch everything that you guys do and you touch turn to gold, and everything I do fucking backfire.
During that bus ride, Mustaine came across a political handbill from California Senator Alan Cranston warning about the dire consequences of nuclear weapons and referencing what it called the arsenal of Megadeth. The phrase struck him. His friend and early bandmate Lor Kane suggested using it as the name for his new band. He later decided that Megadeth, misspelled as Megadeth, would be the name that defined everything that came next. Every bitter interview that followed for the next 4 decades was born somewhere on that bus ride home.
Music, and I don't think that anybody who had unfortunately lost their life with this would knowing how.
Number 1, Ozzy Osbourne.
And Sean's going, "Tell me it's real." I'm going, what?
Somewhere between 100 and 170 million records sold across a lifetime in music. More than 5 decades performing for crowds around the world. The man bit the head off a bat on stage in Des Moines, Iowa on January 20th, 1982, thinking it was a rubber prop, and then had to undergo a full course of rabies shots. He urinated on the cenotaph at the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas in February 1982 while wearing one of Sharon's dresses, and was subsequently banned from the city for a decade.
Seated by his infamy.
I looked evidently through an unconscious bat on the stage.
And yet, the most surprising thing Ozzy Osbourne ever did in front of a camera was seem completely human. The 1982 Night Flight interview, taken in the same year as both incidents above, showed a man with short hair, warm eyes, and genuine tenderness when he spoke about about Sharon. He talked about wanting to go fishing. He talked about being tired of people expecting him to bite the head off something every time they saw it.
And he thought it was a rubber bat, whatever, and he picked it up and bit the head off.
Of all the things Ozzy Osbourne was capable of, honesty turned out to be the most disarming.